All right, we're back at Security Plus exam, practice exam number 25, or excuse me, 25, 21. 21. Oh my gosh, 5 more questions to help you pass your Security Plus exam. That's our goal for today. Let's get into it, shall we? Question number 1, reviewing security logs, you notice the following entries from physical access control system. What is the most likely security concern based on these logs? You can go through this and kind of go through it. I want to remind students, remind you, you've only got 30 to 45 seconds, right? Typical exam length, 70 to 90 questions, 70 to 90 questions. I don't think I've ever seen anybody with 70 questions. I'm going to say it doesn't happen, just saying I haven't seen it. And you can have up to 5 PBQs, which means that we need to answer our questions within 30 to 45 seconds because we could run out of time. And as such, you need to get with the program. You need to limit yourself when you're going through and answering these multiple choice questions, because we want to utilize that extra time for our PBQs. Remember, that's our goal. So even if you don't know the answer, you're going to guess, and you're going to move on. That 1 minute mark is kind of your cutoff time. You really need to do a internal clock in your brain going, okay, it's been a minute. I need to answer and move on. I cannot stay on this question as you're going through. All right, let's answer this one. Here we have our date and time logs, right? We have our date and, of course, our time associated. We can see the employee, 1023, 2045, 1023, and then unknown. We can see granted, denied, granted, and then denied. And so we've got our little access log here. So what is most likely security concern based on these logs? Data exfiltration. No, it's physical. It's physical. So data exfiltration, not really something we're worried about here. Tailgating incident, maybe tailgating accident. That's when somebody drives behind somebody else, right? So they follow closely behind, then they grab the door before it shuts, and they tailgate in, or they're kind of going through that process, right? So that would be a tailgating attack. Social engineering attack. I'm not really seeing much on social engineering, right? Not really seeing anything based on the logs that would cover social engineering. So definitely probably not that one. And then D, unauthorized access attempt. Again, we're seeing that denied in there, so a possible answer on there. So it's between B and D. B and D are going to be our top 2 on this one. What do you think based on the logs? What do you think? I'm going to give you about 5 seconds. There we go. All right, if you answer tailgating incident, while it is the security concern, while it is, based on the logs, it's the denied, right? Which means unauthorized access attempt, especially this, unknown, right? I mean, that implies that they don't have a badge. Somebody climbed in a badge and it was denied. And then we can see here that employee 1023 tried to get into the server room and that was denied. That could have been an innocent mistake, but this one right here with the unknown, that's indicative of unauthorized access attempt. That's going to be the problem. That's going to be problem. So D, right there. All right, question number 2. A cybersecurity analyst is examining the network traffic from a supplier's subsystem. What action should be taken to prevent further potential breaches? We have another little log snippet here. The date, timestamp, source IP, destination IP, and of course, suspicious alert type, right? And then action. Was it blocked? Was it allowed? What do you think on this one? I'll give you about 10 seconds as we go through this as I talk in the background. Remember, if you don't know an answer, if you're just lost, you're going to answer it, you're going to flag it, you're going to move on. We cannot, I know, you're going to hear me hammer on this. You cannot spin it. You figure 90 questions, 90 minutes. 90 questions, 90 minutes. And that includes PBQs. And PBQs, minimum time you're spending on PBQs, 5 minutes. Which means you need to make up that time somewhere. The only place you can make up that time is in these multiple choice. Right? And I guarantee those PBQs are going to take at least 5 minutes to answer, minimum. All right, let's answer this one. Cybersecurity analyst is examining network traffic from a supplier's system. What action should be taken to further prevent potential breaches? And we can see those logs there. Let's start with A. Block the supplier's IP address. I mean, that makes sense, right? We just block the supplier's IP address. We don't have to worry about it anymore. I like A. It's fun to do A, right? We just block the supplier's IP address and that's it. B, increase the bandwidth of the supplier's traffic. We could do that one. We can do that one as well, right? We increase that bandwidth. Does the increase in the bandwidth really help though? If that's what we're trying to do? I don't feel like that's a good answer for this one since we're trying to prevent traffic, right? Increasing the bandwidth really doesn't make sense. Excuse me. I got a little bit of a congestion issue going on today. I don't know if you noticed or not. We could open additional ports for communication. Again, not a congestion issue. not a congestion issue, so I'm not going to see that. And then D, allow traffic from the supplier's IP. We could allow, I can't even talk, allow traffic to supplier's IP. And so, again, it's between A and D. If we're looking at what action should we take to prevent further potential breaches, I don't feel like D makes a lot of sense either. That means A is the only one on this list that actually makes any sense for prevention of further breaches. Is there a better answer? Oh yeah, definitely a better answer. Did they provide us that better answer? No. And since they did not, we must go with the answers that we have. The only one that would make sense that we have is A. A is going to be the right answer. All right, question number 3. A cybersecurity analyst is investigating unauthorized access to a file containing sensitive data in use by an application. What security measures should be implemented to protect the data in use? The data in use. What do you think about this one as we're going through? All right. I know we're going through this log, and I want to point out we have users 1 and we have user 2, right? And so we have 1110, we have our date timestamp, our user ID between user 1 and 2, we have that customer data, and then we have read, modified, read, and then deleted on there, right? So it looks like user 1 has read, write, modify, and then it looks like user 2 only has read according to this. Now this is just a snippet log, doesn't mean that's actually the case. But what do you think? What do you think on this one? Let's answer this one. The security analyst is investigating unauthorized access to a file containing sensitive data in use by an application. What security measures should be implemented to protect the data in use? Specifically, the data in use. That's what we're trying to do. All right, file integrity monitoring. File integrity monitoring is a great system because we know that file integrity monitoring takes hash of the system, and if something changes, then it says, hey, the new hash doesn't match the old hash, and there's a problem there. That would be file integrity monitoring. Does it help with data in use? Does it help with data in use? It might. But does it help protect it? No. It's an auditing feature, right? Because it tells us that something changed. That's all it does. It doesn't stop something from being changed. It just tells us that something was changed. That's not a prevention methodology, right? That's a detective methodology, and so we can get rid of that one. Full disk encryption. Oh, full disk encryption, definitely a preventive measure. It encrypts the data. I like full disk encryption. We're gonna save that one. We're gonna save that as a possible one. Network segmentation. Network segmentation, of course, is when we take a network and we segment it from other networks. That way, our ops department can't read stuff on a different department. In this case, I'm not really seeing anything like that because we have user 1 and user 2. It's not like they told us what departments they're in, so it doesn't really make a lot of sense to, based on this log, figure out what they're trying to do. Network segmentation doesn't make sense here. And then DLP, data loss prevention. Data loss prevention, another great answer that comes into this. So it really becomes between full disk encryption and DLP. What do you think? I'm going to give you about 5 seconds on this one. Between B and D, what do you think? All right, we're going to answer this one. What security measures should be implemented to protect data and use? Well, if you know that full disk encryption is only usable for data at rest, because we're encrypting the data that it resides on, then you would know that DLP is the only one that makes sense. Means D is going to be our correct answer for this one. D, data loss prevention. There it is, right there. Question number 4. A SCADA system used to monitor critical infrastructure generates the following alert. What is the best course of action to secure the SCADA system? And of course, we see unauthorized remote access on a date timestamp from a source and then a destination IP address. Looks like they're both private. And the action was the connection was blocked. So, yeah, we've got that. All right. Pretty easy one if you know SCADA. Pretty easy if you know SCADA. If not, that's okay. We're going to go over it a little bit. What do you think? 30 to 45 seconds. I'm going to need another 5 seconds on this one as you read through these answers as you're thinking about it. All right. If you need more time, you can pause that video. A SCADA system was used to monitor critical infrastructure generates the following alert. What is the best course of action to secure that SCADA system? A, open port 22 for remote management. I don't know, port 22 seems pretty good. We use it for servers. I'm going to put that one on the maybe block. Put it on the maybe. B, block all remote access to SCADA. Well, we see unauthorized remote access. Do we want to block all remote access? How would we change it if we did that? I don't know. Maybe. Let's do B as a maybe. C, disable encryption for faster data transmission. Yeah, because that's what we're going to do. We're going to decrypt that. We're going to disable encryption. I can't talk today. No. D, install load balancer for better performance. I don't know that many SCADA systems that need a load balancer. I mean, if it was a server, maybe, but we're not talking about server. We're talking about SCADA. So it really counts between option A and B. Do we want to open port 22 for remote management, right? Or do we want to block all remote access? Those are really the key ones on here. I'll give you about 5 seconds to figure out, generate an answer, figure out an answer between the two. If you said open port 22 for remote management, I'm sorry, you'd be incorrect. Why? Because SCADA is critical infrastructure. We don't allow remote access into ICS, Industrial Control Systems, ICS, right? Not a good thing. We do not do that. So SCADA, we want to block all remote access. That is our goal with SCADA. You should only be able to log in physically. That's a security measure. So there you go. B is going to be our correct answer on this one. All right, moving on to question number 5. Question number 5. During a threat hunting exercise, you notice unusual activity in your SIEM logs. What immediate action should be taken by the threat hunting team? We have that date time. We have that source IP address, seems to be all the same. We have a destination IP address that is different. We see port scanning, brute force, and then data exfiltration on 3 different destination IP addresses. A little bit weird on this one. What do you think? What do you think? All from different IP addresses, which is a little bit weird, right? I mean, normally, I don't know. What do you think? What do you think? All right, let's answer this one. Need more time, of course. You can always pause the video. All right, let's get into this one. A, disable the SIEM system to prevent further. What in the world would we ever, in a million years, ever, in any form, disable our SIEM system? Never in a million years. Yeah, so we're going to make ourselves blind to every threat. No, not going to happen. Update the network's firewall rules. Maybe updating the network firewall rules is a good answer, especially if we could update it to, block known malicious traffic. We could update it to block known malicious IP addresses. Definitely on the maybe list. I like B. Change all user passwords. I don't see anything in here that denotes that we need to change users' passwords, especially all users. Big undertaking if we do that. So C, man, I don't see that one be there. D, isolate the source IP address. Isolate the source IP address. Of course, that source IP address is inside of our internal network. Does it make sense to isolate it, or does it make better sense to do an update the network firewall rule? What do you think on this one? What do you think? B or D are our best answers on this one. I'll give you about 5 more seconds, maybe 7, because I got my little timer up there. And 3, 2, 1. Here we go. If you answered isolate the source IP address, yeah, that would be correct. Why? Look at the IP address. It's inside of our internal network. We need to isolate that and figure out what's going on, right? That's part of our incident response. Remember our incident response? Detect is one of our big ones, right? And then what comes after detection? Well, isolation's in there next. So isolation's going to be in there. Not necessarily in that order, but you get my point, all right? So isolation. Why would we not want to update the network firewall rules? And if updating network firewall rules, wouldn't that incorporate, because I know I'm going to get asked this, wouldn't that incorporate isolating the source IP address by updating the firewall rules? Yes, it could, but isolating the source IP address is a better answer. Why? Because it's more direct, right? Could we use the firewall rules to isolate the system? Yeah, we could. We could 100% do that if it's directly connected to that firewall. On the other hand, it could be attached to a switch and then the firewall. So yeah, we have to be careful about that, right? So isolating the source IP address, that 10.1.1.50, that's going to be our best answer on this one. I hope you found this to be educational. As always, I'm Dr. K. We'll see you next time. Have a good one.